So it's a very good afternoon to Jessica Lascheit. Jessica, welcome. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm extremely good because we were just having a laugh off air because I know how much it's taken you to get in front of a video camera to do this show today. So my first acknowledgement is going to be to thank you for taking the big step into the video world.
No pressure.
How does it feel? Like, is it weird? Is it more relaxing than you thought, or what?
I'll let you know in 5 minutes. No, it is. It's very strange, out of my comfort zone. Definitely, something that we probably all should be doing more of. And it just, you just have to get started. So here I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. And for everybody that's tuning in today, Jessica's in a new place. So we've got a bit of an echo happening there because she's about to unload the boxes and put all the hundreds and thousands of pieces of furniture out, aren't you, Jessica?
Oh, looking forward to it.
I hope you've got somebody to help you out.
As much as a podcast.
Well, I'll try and make this more fun than maybe unpacking some furniture. So, first of all, why don't we tell people what you do for a living and how long you've been doing that for?
Sure. So I run BPO Heroes, which is an outsourcing company. We specialise in administrative support for small businesses and entrepreneurs, and we've been running since about late 2016.
So you've been running that business since then. What got you inspired to start the business?
I'd been in the outsourcing industry since about 2010 and took a 2-year career break after my previous role. And when I was looking back at career options, I was wondering about what I could do next and what I loved doing the most. And it just kept bringing me back to working with the Philippines, doing the outsourcing and, my love of business. So somehow I managed to combine all three, and BPO Heroes is here.
Yeah, fantastic. How did you come up with the name for the company, BPO Heroes?
It was actually one of my old work colleagues. So, one of my reports in the Philippines when we were, coming up when I started BPO Heroes, we'd catch up and just we were brainstorming one day, and then she just said, "Well, what about BPO Heroes?" And there you go, there it was. So now we're saving the world one task at a time.
Oh, that's a wonderful tagline, and good on your friend for coming up with that name as well. Sometimes you rack your brain around coming up with a business name, and somebody else just pops it out, and you go, you know what, that's it, right? It just sounds right. So away you go.
Yeah, I think we're often too critical of ourselves. So for hearing that come from someone else, it's like, oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Had I thought of it myself, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much.
So as a young lady starting a business, tell us about some of the challenges. What were some of the first hurdles that you had to overcome in terms of starting up your own business after working for somebody else?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Look, I guess probably the biggest hurdles for me were thinking that I knew everything. Because I had been quite successful in my previous role and thought running a business was easy, despite not having, despite, working on this much of the business when in fact there's a million and one things happening. So I guess that was the first hurdle, realizing all of the things that I had to learn to build some strong foundations. It wasn't just operational skills that I needed, which is where my background is, but it was just all the other things that make a business work. The other challenges were probably trying to do everything on my own. So I managed to join a really good networking group. I don't know if I can I plug them?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, Victorian Leaders is a networking community in Victoria. And for me, that was just a massive step. early on in a business, nobody wants to spend, you don't want to invest too much money in a million different buckets. And I struggled initially weighing it up, but paid my membership fee, and it was probably one of the best things I did, because having previously worked in corporate environments, you've got your accounting team, your legal team, your marketing team. You've got access to all of those people, at the tip of your fingers, where when you're starting out on your own, again, you don't want to invest $400 to ask a lawyer a 2-minute question. We're all holding our purse strings. So the fact that I could join this community for a really reasonable fee and just have access to all of these experts that I could just say, hey, quick question, this has happened, what do I do? And just to get that advice and also have a group around me that I could trust. So essentially, they became my executive team because I didn't have one anymore.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Did you start off your business by having mentors in place as well? Did you have a mentor at all?
No, I didn't. I have. I have good relationships with a lot of people who've been in business, but no real formal sort of mentorship.
Looking back now to when you did start your business, what would you do differently perhaps than what you did at the time?
Oh, good question. Look, to be completely honest, there's probably not much that I would do differently at all. Every step of the way was a learning process, and I think that's helped me along the way with, decisions that I've made and the way that I do things.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't matter how long we're in business for, we're always learning things as we go along. We kind of never get to that stage where we think we know it all, and if we do, we're wrong anyway. So the fact is we're always learning. But how long did it take you to kind of get to that stage where you felt as though you had your feet under the table and the ship was going in the right direction and all the rest of it? Was it months or years, or how long did it take you to feel that?
Look, I think initially it was a bit slow going. I would probably say it was 9 months before I felt like I had it under control and I was doing the right thing. So, initially you try little bits and pieces. That doesn't work, you got to tweak it. And yeah, I'd say probably 9 months in, I was like, okay, I've got this. This is going to work. We've got, built up some clients. Mind you, since then, the business has changed dramatically in our service offering. But yeah, it was definitely within the first year.
I was going to say that the word pivot has probably become the business word of the year this year particularly, but of course pivoting's been around forever in business, and you've just demonstrated that when you start a business you've got to be, I guess, a jack of all trades, don't you, in a lot of different areas. How difficult was it to get out there and convince people that outsourcing was something that they should not only consider but to actually sign up for? Was it a hard sell in the beginning?
Oh, it's still a hard sell now, really. And yes, it was definitely a hard sell in the beginning, but probably also not just because of people's reluctance and previous prejudice against outsourcing. From the beginning, even before I was in the industry, my experience with outsourcing was a Telstra call centre. So and when outsourcing first occurred, it was very much taking jobs from our own people. So there was a real stigma attached, and rightfully so, because the industry wasn't as advanced as it is now, and it really was find a really cheap and nasty solution and make it someone else's problem. Where, I think over time, and, this is over the space of the last 10 years, outsourcing has really changed. I would say, I don't even know if I'd call it outsourcing anymore, because when I think of outsourcing, I almost look at outsourcing my accounting to my accounting firm, So there's a lot that we outsource, and we just provide the way that we work with our clients is to become part of their team. So essentially, we become another part of another department within their team.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk about that today because I've been traveling that journey with you as well. When I started this podcast organization, you were one of the first people that I reached out to because I could see the value in us working together. I've recoined the phrase actually, and I call it innovative partnerships because I think I agree with what you just said in terms of it's actually we or you are an extension of what I'm doing in many regards, because I rely on your team every day to help me put this show together and get it out to the world, and it's become like working within a family, really. It's very much an extension of what we're doing. Your people get to understand what our business is about and vice versa, and there's a lot of things that have advantages around outsourcing. So let's talk about those things. What are some of the primary benefits that you've seen in your time in outsourcing that have helped your customers?
Oh, well, where do you start? Look, obviously there's cost savings through outsourcing, which is, probably top for most businesses. We're always looking at ways to do things in a more affordable manner. But also it's, I guess, the collaboration, the extra knowledge that you bring into your team. I'm kind of stuck.
No, that's a good point in itself.
Where we edit.
No, that's a good point in itself, because I think when you've got people from different organisations coming together to actually work on whatever part of the business it is, people see it through different eyes, right? And you can see that there's solutions. I can't tell you how many times your people have helped me out when I couldn't see the wood because of the trees, and they said, how about you do it like this, and there's the solution right in front of you, right? So I think that's a classic example of where outsourcing can help. Also, what about in terms of the people that you actually talk to about outsourcing? Are we talking about the C-suite level of people in companies that you have to kind of go and do the business deals through, or where does it actually happen for you?
Okay, so essentially, I mean, we work with small businesses and entrepreneurs. So obviously, the founders and the directors of small businesses. We don't work with any large corporations because our model's not based on those. So definitely with the decision maker, because quite often when, and a lot of startups, and I think quite often people don't realise what they actually need when they're looking at outsourcing. So, my job is almost working with the business owner to figure out where their bottlenecks are, what's holding them back from really progressing further, and then saying, well, you don't need this, you actually just need this, and then building on from that with, just as it goes on, as the client becomes more comfortable, and just a lot of the time I think people are too busy to outsource as well. So you do need to invest a lot of time in upskilling someone, having someone understand your business, and people find it hard to delegate too. So often, oh no, it's something I'll take 5 minutes, so I'll just do it myself. Whereas a lot of little 5 minutes makes, it takes away your day really quickly. So it really is just working with people and helping them understand how just starting small will open up and help business owners realise where their gaps actually are and what they need, because quite often what they think they need isn't exactly what they need.
Yeah. But you're right in terms of, I think, a fresh set of eyes from the outside looking at someone's business, having that helicopter view where you're coming in also as a neutral party, and you're looking at it from the point of view of wanting to help the person do the best with their business because you want to help them out with your solution. So I think it's a very good practice. Now, one of the other things I was going to ask was in reference to what you were just talking about in terms of that transition over from doing something yourself to outsourcing it and giving it to your team to look after. From your experience, how long does it take for a transition of a task to really to be bedded down into the outsourcing company's processes?
Look at it. Every business is different. Some of the tasks or activities we can pick up within the hour, so it depends on the depth of the activity, and I guess how complex it is, and it really is about setting expectations, and if there's systems involved, it might be a week's worth of training where there's processes and systems that have to be learned. So it's just the same as you employ anybody else, really. I guess the main difference is that when you're outsourcing with us, you're not just often not just bringing on one person. You're bringing on either a small team, or as well as you're bringing myself and my office manager into the mix. So, you'll have your support and two other people who start to understand the systems, so that there's always that guidance coming from I guess, another set of eyes.
Have you learnt any shortcuts over the years on how to make that transition smoother? Like, do you have tools that you give to your clients to help them with that transition process?
Look, we do, although again it's quite difficult because the needs of each of our clients are so different from one another, that it really is initially, we have an implementation meeting where we understand what they use, the systems that they use, and then from there we can, build a process, a transition process in place.
Have you been involved with many companies? You talk about being involved with entrepreneurs and small businesses. Have you basically been helping any companies from day one when they started their business, like from the evolution right at the beginning?
Oh, good question. Look, we have been there from very early stages of businesses, absolutely, and I think more so now than ever, because as the world evolves, more and more people are starting their own businesses. So definitely, look, I think initially for many startups, it is always just a one person band until they, well, not always, but often a one person band until, they've got their own processes in place. And like it was with me too, it took me a while to put on my own VA, despite having a company that provides admin support. So, I'm guilty as charged. So I also went through the stages where it was like, oh no, I'll quickly. Well, and because you have to learn a lot of the activities yourself before you can bring someone on to take them over. So look, I wouldn't say we've been with anyone from day dot, but certainly within the early stages of a business.
Well, I think that's really important what you just said, because you have understood the process yourself, having started your own business in that way, so you can see it through the eyes of an entrepreneur from that point of view. Now, I want to talk to you about the impact of COVID-19 on the business, but let's talk about pre-COVID-19 first. So, end of last year, beginning of 2020, you would have had plans in place for your business for this year in terms of growth, expansion, all the things that you wanted to do. Tell us about some of the things that you had planned before COVID-19 came along. Was business going well at the end of last year? Were you happy with everything in the way that it was going?
Yeah, absolutely. Although, like all businesses, we all want to grow more next year. So every year you go through your stages. Okay, this year we're going to focus on more growth, processes, and the like. I guess the biggest. So one of the things that I was looking at initially was bringing somebody on in the team to work more closely with our clients as we grow. COVID it's still on the cards. It hasn't happened in the first half of the year because COVID did throw a bit of a spanner in the works, as it has with most businesses, most of us. And I think I guess we've actually been really fortunate with COVID. So whilst we had the initial shock, and as businesses had to, acclimatise to the new normal, I guess. And so I guess we had a bit of a stalemate for a few weeks while we all went into lockdown. But coming out of the first lockdown, I have to say BPO Heroes has been really fortunate because COVID-19 has forced a lot of people to do what I've been doing for 10 years. And that's working remotely, using video conferencing and having a team based on the other side of the world. So what has been normal for me for many years has started to become normal for more businesses in Australia, and that has been a massive change because it's really hard to explain to people who haven't done it before how easy it is to adapt to working from home and to not have John next to you at the photocopier or having a coffee in the kitchen. It's one of those things that people need to experience before they actually trust the process, and COVID has helped us with that.
So let's go back to those early days of COVID-19 when you're in Australia running your business, so there was a specific timing when things started to go in lockdown in Australia. As a human being and as a business owner, how did it affect you when you started hearing the news of what was going on? How did you take that news on board?
Yeah, look, to be honest, initially it was hard to believe that it would become such a pandemic. It was easy to dismiss it as it became more evident that, hey, this is real. My first thought was my employees, my team. So the most important thing to me has always been looking after my team because they're the guys that make the business. If I didn't have them, we don't have a business. My second thing was, how can I help my clients? So throughout this time, like I said, we've been fortunate enough. For us, it was very much business as usual. And then as some of our clients became affected by the lockdown and, everything, all the rest of the fallout, we were able to work really closely with them. So I called my clients and said, hey, how are you going? How can I help? And some of my clients said, no, we're fine. We're having, a bit of a downfall. It's affecting us here and there, but essentially we're operating business as usual. Other clients found themselves really struggling. So for me, it was a matter of working with my clients to get them through this. So. And I was lucky enough to be in a position to do that. Some of my clients have been unable to pay for periods throughout COVID, and we've just wiped the board clean and said, look, we'll just pick up when things are normal, but we'll continue our service until you're back on your feet. I felt really lucky to be able to work with my clients to do that. I've had one of my clients say, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I want to give you, I want to pay something as just a token of my appreciation. They can't afford to pay the full fees, and they want to show their appreciation for what we've done. So it's been amazing to do that, and it's meant that our team has stayed solid too. So they're comfortable, they're secure, and it's very much business as usual. So rather than taking team members off their beloved clients and saying, no, sorry, they can't pay their bill, we'll have you assigned to something else. It was very much, well, let's keep going. And I think it's just been amazing to be able to do that, and it's really strengthened our relationship, because we're all, there through thick and thin and helping each other through.
Yeah, I bet it has, and it's a fantastic thing to hear that people's philanthropic natures come out at a time like this to help everyone through. And over the show in the last couple of weeks, I've had that a number of times where business owners have been basically investing in their client's business to help them through, and it's an amazing thing to hear. And it's one of those things that, the old cliche going around at the moment, we're all in it together. Well, the reality is we are, and coming out the other side, we'll all be stronger as a result of what we put into this. So good on you for doing that. It's very noble of you. Going back to some of the things you just shared with us then, your team members are in different countries than you, so you're managing people remotely. How did the COVID situation in their country affect them personally as individuals, first of all, and also for their input into your workload?
Well, good question. Look, so my team is predominantly based in the Philippines. They've also had quite strict lockdowns. And again, we all work from home. So in terms of business as usual, it hasn't affected the ability to work. Mind you, in the cases where you're only allowed to go shopping on Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, we've made allowances where needed for people to do what they need to do. Again, it's just all about helping each other and working together to find the best outcome.
As a business leader and owner, were you confronted with a situation where some of the team members were dealing better than others with what was going on around them in the world at the moment? Did you find that some were a little bit shaky on their feet and others were, quite strong and resilient?
Look, I think overall, and COVID has affected some of our team in different ways, personally. And so yeah, absolutely, it's a struggle, and we've provided support for those team members, and just again flexibility where needed. In terms of resilience, look, our guys are amazing, and they just we all just keep going. So and I think it's just the strength of the culture that you build. If you're there to support everybody, they're supporting each other and supporting the business as well. So the way I run my business is to be the boss that I always wanted for myself. So when I'm dealing with the situation, it's how would I want my boss to how would I want them to address this, or what would I want them to do in this situation? And that's what I do, because my team is equal, and we're all,
Fantastic. Has COVID made you be a different kind of manager than you were before?
Oh, this is probably not the answer that you're looking for, but I'd say no. I really don't think so. I think over my years of management and owning my own business, it's honed. I think I've tried to take the best parts of all of my previous business leaders and everybody that I encounter along the way, and try and adapt that into the way that I manage my team. And you're always learning and always improving. But again, I don't think COVID has it's almost COVID is just another glitch, like every other day that you face. Granted, it's a longer glitch, longer happening, but essentially, it's just another hurdle to overcome, and we do it with the same strategy.
Terrific. So when it all happened for you with your clients, did it happen basically overnight, or was there a trajectory of a slowdown and seeing them, some of those customers, as you mentioned before, having a bit of trouble? How was the timeline in terms of it impacting your business?
Look, to be honest, it's probably still happening because, my business relies on my clients, who rely on their clients, who rely on their clients. So essentially, as each industry or each different business was affected in their own way due to their own clients, it's very, I guess I've had clients sort of cease trading for a while, pop back up, while others have been on a different time frame. Others have slowed down. Some haven't been, affected dramatically. So it's really hard to pinpoint it. Obviously, it's still going, but I think everybody has adopted their own strategies in making this work, because like you said before, we all need to get through it so that we can come out on the other side, and businesses are really helping each other and collaborating to make that work, because we know we all need each other to survive, and nobody wants to see anyone fail because of COVID, when we could have worked together to get through it.
Yeah, great sentiment. Now, you're based in Australia with your business. Has the Australian government done much to help you out as a business owner in Australia?
Look, we have been very fortunate. Look, again, all of my staff are in the Philippines, so haven't been able to avail of JobKeeper or the like for them. We have been granted a business grant and JobKeeper for myself, which has really helped when we've been supporting clients. So essentially, from a business perspective, at one point it was, I don't care if we're not making any money as long as my team's paid, and we can keep going through for the next couple of months. So that's essentially the stance that we've taken over the last month. Profits have picked up again, but it was very much just keep going.
Now, you probably haven't unpacked your crystal ball out of one of those packing boxes yet, so I'm going to ask you to still have a look into the crystal ball. Looking ahead for your business in the next 12 months, have you got anything specifically that you're putting into place because of the uncertainty around the landscape we're currently working in?
Ooh, good question. No, look, to be honest, I'm looking at strategic changes within the business, and again, how we help our clients to really make the most of outsourcing, because I see that over time it will pick up and people will be looking at options. So for me now, it's really important to just bring in that extra support to do that even better than we're doing now. In terms of direct COVID-related strategies, no.
Nothing? Okay, good. Well, it sounds like you're on track anyway with what you're doing, so that's all good. I want to say to everybody out there listening today and watching this particular video, if you want to understand more about the outsourcing benefits by somebody who's experiencing the services of BPO heroes, contact me please, because I'm more than happy to share the brilliant work that Jessica's team does for us here at Humaneity, and has helped us through that very pivotal stage of starting off and getting ourselves a little bit of momentum going. So reach out and ask me about that. Only too happy to share. Jessica, lots of people around the world who are going to be watching this are not as fortunate as you are. They're in struggles to try and keep their business alive and all the rest of it. As a business leader, what are some of the words that you would share with them to give them a bit of hope and inspiration during these difficult times?
Reach out to people, be open. Again, everybody's going through similar things, or knows people that are experiencing it, and you don't know where help can come from. So, it really is. I think previously the business world has been very much dog eat dog. You're out there, you've got to, crush the competitors, and you got to do what it takes to get ahead. I think I've heard plenty of sales pitches of a similar nature. And I think COVID has really shown that we can work together, we can collaborate, and it's just, even if people are facing financial difficulty, find a way to make it work. The old bartering system, find a way to collaborate, to share your services, and you don't know what's out there. So keep networking, keep asking for help, keep helping others.
Very wise words. What I'm hearing is we should get rid of the monetary system altogether and should move back to the Stone Ages. Why not? It seems to work, right? So we could keep doing it. You're well on the way in your journey as a business owner. Looking back from day one when you started your business, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned as a business leader during that time?
That you have no idea what you're getting yourself into when you start business. Look, I think one of the biggest things is not to let fear get in the way. Hence, I was hesitant to do the podcast because it's out of my comfort zone. So really is getting out of your comfort zone, networking, and networking was something that was really difficult for me too in the beginning. I just, it's not easy, but the more you do it, you realise how interesting it is to meet different people and learn from them. It's not a daunting experience. So look, there's lessons that you learn every day, and you just have to put yourself out there, be confident, and trust in yourself. You're starting a business because you're good at what you do, and it's if it's your passion, you just have to go for it.
We're going to over 90 countries around the world today with this show. Is there a possibility for BPO Heroes to help lots of people around the world with outsourcing if they get in touch with you?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. It's worldwide. We're all working remotely, so and you can do anything.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about the outsourcing landscape as an industry? Is it booming right now? Are we seeing a lot of people taking on outsourcing services right now?
Oh, look, I think, good question again. I think the industry is definitely evolving. It's changing. Outsourcing isn't what it used to be, and we're seeing more outsourcing, both onshore, like I said earlier, with businesses. A lot of businesses are downsizing. They don't have their internal legal department anymore. They don't have their internal accounting department, and so larger businesses are taking on more outsourcing, and then smaller businesses are too, because in terms, there's a lot of options now in terms of outsourcing for a smaller business or an entrepreneur than there were previously. You essentially had freelancers who can be very much hit or miss. Particularly if you're not used to recruiting or managing staff, it can be very difficult to hire a freelancer from the other side of the world. And then you had the other option with the traditional outsourcing providers, and almost nothing in between. And now we're seeing more businesses similar to what BPO Hero does, where it's providing flexible support options that, for businesses who want to step into outsourcing but don't quite know where to start and don't have the funds to invest in full-time teams. So it's really the opportunities are out there, and the offering is there much more than it was previously. So in terms of that, the industry is growing because it's evolving. There's
back in my corporate days, I'm looking at it now and thinking there should have been a great opportunity to outsource some of our management teams that I used to work for. But, that's a whole other story. You said earlier that your focus in terms of your business is on small business and entrepreneurs. Is there a reason why you haven't targeted larger businesses?
Look, there is, because when I started my journey into my own business, I'd previously worked in a BPO, and we had over 400 staff in the Philippines. We had the corporate office. That's what I envisioned for my business when I started out. So, okay, great. And it was part of my journey where I started to meet smaller sized businesses and really see that there was no support for them, and then experiencing it myself, it just made sense to go in that direction as opposed to becoming another large corporate BPO, contact center. So, yeah. Okay.
And what's the end game with the business? Where do you want BPO to be in 10 years from now? Do you see yourself still being involved, or is there another dream that you've got sitting under the table that you want to explore?
Look, we've all got plenty of dreams. To be honest, BPO Heroes is my baby. There's no exit strategy for this one. I look at BPO Heroes as my team's retirement package, essentially. I can see my aim when I started this business was to bring, my pioneer team with me to the end, and give us all, that support and structure for the future.
Yeah, brilliant. And my final question today is going to be around somebody sitting there watching this today, maybe a young girl who's inspired to start her own business as a result of listening to you. What words of advice, encouragement, inspiration would you pass on to somebody who's sitting out there today wanting to start a new business?
Look, really, just do it. It's not easy. It's absolutely not easy. But you just have to give it a go.
That's it. Give it a go. Very good way. Very good way to end the show today. Jessica, thanks very much for joining me on the Global Business Podcast, but also thank you very much to you and your team for your outstanding work and innovative partnerships that you're doing with us here at Humaneity. You've been a real instrumental part of helping us to get to where we are today, and that is taking our podcast show to the world. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So again, if you're out there and you want a recommendation on Jessica and her team, give me a call. I'm happy to provide that. And Jessica, we're going to catch up with you in the months ahead to see how the business is going and to keep across all that, to see how the outsourcing industry is developing as well. So thanks again for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.